Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. Today we're at Land Rover of Shreveport, and this is the 2022 Land Rover Discovery Sport, the R-Dynamic SE that we're going to be taking a look at. And I'll tell you what, this model has some great features for the price. In fact, the technology in this one really seems to be over and above what you're actually paying for. So let's answer the question. Do you get more than you pay for with this model? I won't say the whole thing again. So let's get Carrie to come in and take a look here. In fact, it might be easier from this side to take a look at the headlight design. I really like these blinkers, the way that they kind of just come up the way they do. The LED premium headlights, even though everything is not on right now. But let me show you something real quick. Right here, part of the cold climate package, that little square right there is the front headlight washer. And here's the thing. If you want to know how to use that, it's really pretty simple. Number one, the headlights need to be on. And number two, all you're gonna do is activate the windshield washer fluid in the interior. I actually have a full tutorial video on that, but I'm showing you everything on the screen just so that you know it's that simple. One thing that's interesting here, the raised lettering of Discovery right here. Some people do and don't like that. Tell me down in the comments what your preference is. And the classic Land Rover grille with that iconic Land Rover logo right there. A very sharp look here on the front end. And something else that's interesting. You have what amounts to two vents right here. I'm gonna have Carrie come in on that. On the right-hand side is an air curtain that allows air to flow through the bumper. That's gonna help with gas mileage. But you also have an active vent right here for brake cooling. So a very nice thing. Speaking of the brakes, I like what Land Rover has done here. Let me try and get myself out of the scene there as far as my shadow goes. Those red brake calipers really set this model off. And those are 21-inch wheels, 245/45 tires that's wrapped around, and a lot of gloss black right here. The mirror caps gloss black. Hopefully with my shadow helping out here, you can see that turn signal indicator that's built into the side view mirror, and also more gloss up here. It really sets this model off, giving it, well, a sporty look, because it is the Sport. How sporty is what's under the hood? Let's pop the hood and find out. Okay, now that we have the hood open, one thing I like is the fact that if you're not a gearhead, you may not understand it, but I like the hydraulic struts here to open the hood and keep it up. That way, you don't have to go hunting around for a manual rod to put in place to prop the hood up to show off the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. 246 horsepower, 269 foot-pounds of torque. This model has a 9-speed automatic transmission feeding horsepower to the ground, ultimately through all-wheel drive. So what about gas mileage numbers? 19 miles per gallon city, 23 out on the highway, 20 miles per gallon combined. And according to Land Rover, per every 100 miles you drive, you should use 5 gallons of gas. All right, let's start off taking a look at the remote before we hop into the interior and start taking a look at a few things. Obviously, one of the advantages here is we can open the power rear lift gate here. You can see there is a reasonable amount of storage here. You've got the cargo cover if you wish to use that. 32.7 up to 55.6 cubic feet, not too bad. If you wanted to tow with this model, those numbers come in at 4,409 pounds. And I'm letting Carrie just kind of show you around. You can see for yourself what all is there. If you want to maximize your cargo space, there is a lever on the side of the seat that you're going to use to lower this. But if you don't want to lower the two seats here and there's no one sitting in the middle, you might even want to go skiing or something along those lines. There's a button on the top of the center seat here. You can lower that down and use that as a pass-through, if I can get that through my mouth. And this cargo cover is removable if you need to take that out. Now we'll take a look at a couple of other things here. I know Carrie showed you everything here, but let me just go over exactly what we have here as far as the seats go as well. You can also push that. Let's see if it'll work. There we go. That's the bottom is for the left and the top is going to be for the right. Now, the one thing about it is that you can only pull back on those to activate the seats going down. You have to manually put them back in place, just so you know. How about the back seat? Well, the front seat for the driver is a little far forward, but even at that, if it came back a little further, you can see how much leg space I have. There's actually a reasonable amount of space in the back seat for being a smaller SUV. And you have the fold-down armrest with the cup holders, and you could stick a decent sized sandwich in there if you wanted to. You'd probably have to leave that open. I don't know, it actually has a little bit of space right there, so if you closed it, it might keep it safe and concealed. Mat pockets on the rear of the seats. By the way, these seats are very comfortable. Speaking of comfort, air conditioning vents back here for rear seat passengers, so they can take advantage of that. USB ports, 2 to be exact, plus a 12-volt power outlet that could have an adapter to convert to another USB if desired. And one more thing, let me do this real quick. If you want to increase cargo space without lowering these seats, but you have something that just doesn't quite fit back there, there is a lever underneath these seats to go way forward. I don't think I'd want to ride like this because, wow, I have no leg space, but it is an available option. Let's see if I can do that side just to help out, just to show you that as well. Obviously on both sides, just the standard manual release that allows that to be done. Carrie also showing you on the screen the other way that you can lower these seats that I showed you earlier with that lever on the bottom. And last but not least, you also have the indicator to remind passengers to check in their blind spot, so to speak, and kind of look around the vehicle when they open doors so they don't accidentally open that. Maybe there's an oncoming vehicle parking next to you or something like that. Just so you know, that's what those are for. And for the size of this vehicle, that is a really large panoramic sunroof. Now, it does not open, it's just one solid piece of glass right there. But I'm really impressed with the size. Usually they come to about right here or something in that area. That's pretty impressive. There is a power shade that can be drawn forward if desired. Okay, something that I do want to touch on here, I'm just going to do it on one window. You have one touch actually at all 4 windows, so that's a nice feature. Obviously power windows controlled right here also. We'll take a quick look into the glove box right here. Let me pull this out just so you can see the space within. There is a reasonable amount of space in there. If I can get that in the right place. Comfortable seating here. Heated and ventilated seating, and a little bit of bolstering there. Hey, you might want to spiritedly drive your Discovery Sport, right? And I'll have Carrie come in on the instrument cluster over here. We went through a lot of windshield washer fluid earlier, so that's why you can see the indicator right there. But just to show you what it looks like, a very nice modern looking instrument cluster. And then the steering wheel also as well. You've got the steering wheel mounted controls here. Everything's pretty easy to figure out. A lot of information you can go through there. But I like that elegant look. It's not just the typical buttons you see on most vehicles. And you also have the paddle shifters. There's a couple of options for rowing through the gears if you want to of that 9-speed automatic transmission. And one thing I'm going to do, because it's a little bit on the warm side in here, is turn that on. How do you adjust the fan speed? We're going to click that right there, and you can see how you do that. Just a couple of things to show. Not only that, but if you want to change driving modes, you've got kind of a multitasker here right on the right-hand side, not only for controlling temperature and other things as well there. You can also control the heated and ventilated seats. Ventilated to the left and heated to the right, just so you can see that there. Very simple to use. And the Pivi Pro infotainment system, something that I must say I really like. You have a lot of great features here. Navigation, we'll go to the home screen right here so you can see what is there. But also a few little options that I want to run through right here. Everything's pretty easy to figure out as far as what you have. Eco data probably isn't going to have a whole lot on it right now, but you can see what's there. And then we'll go ahead and go back. Let's see if we can get back to our main screen we were on earlier. Vehicle dimensions, something that's very interesting on these Land Rover models. And you might think, why would you want that? Well, it depends on where you're driving. If your neighborhood flooded, you'd know how much water you could drive through. Or if you're driving through a narrow passageway, if you want to get your tape measure out and see how narrow the passageway is, and then see if your Land Rover will fit through there or not, well, kind of a cool little feature. And down here, we've got wireless charging and a USB port, and a couple of one-touch buttons above that. You can turn the auto stop start feature off and save the life of your starter, traction control turned off if you want to, and hill descent control also. Here is the shifter. Something interesting I like to show about that. Number one, I talked about how as I go into drive that if you want to use the second option for manually rowing through the gears, well, there's how you do that. You just move that over. And I'll have Carrie zoom out a little bit, or kind of pan out, probably a better way to put it. I'm going to push the button to shut the engine off. It's still in drive. Well, not now. See what happens? The shifter goes right back into place. I'm going to start that back up. We'll take a quick look at the upper console. There is the button for that manual shade, or power shade I should say, that we talked about earlier, map lights, and the clear sight rear view mirror. That is a great option. You can turn that off and go back to a regular mirror if you would like, but I'm going to leave that on as we work our way down to the center console right here. Very decent amount of space in there, but now if you want to increase your space down here, there is a reasonable amount of space within the console, but you can remove the cup holder, and all you do is pull up on that latch right there, and that's what allows you to remove the cup holder. And space here either way, decent amount of space, a couple more USB options, and a 12-volt power outlet. But let's get out on the road and see exactly what we can do with that 246 horsepower. And last but not least, you don't have to go into reverse to do this, so I'm just going to push the camera button right there. But here is what your rear view camera looks like. A very clear image, and then right over here, you can zoom in if you want to by simply pressing whatever area of the vehicle you want to see behind you. All right, we're hopping out on the road for our test drive. And the first thing I have to say, you might wonder, how exactly does this little model accelerate with the 4-cylinder? It makes 246 horsepower. It's surprisingly impressive. I'm really impressed with how fast it gets down the road. It's not going to plant you back in the seat and really pin the G meter that we've got on the screen right there. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's there. So we're going to run on down the road here and have a little fun, but I'm very impressed as we cruise down the road here. Listen. We just drove over those railroad tracks. You didn't even hardly hear anything. And I don't know if my lapel mic did that justice or not, but I'll tell you what, I'm pretty impressed by the lack of road noise here. You know, even though it's by no means the highest priced Land Rover you can buy, you still get a lot of great features and functionality here with everything, including a heads-up display. I will try and see if I can get a good picture of that. Sometimes that's a little bit harder to do, but it's here, just so you know. So in a day and age when a lot of vehicles' prices are literally through the roof, do you get more than you pay for with this Discovery Sport? While I can tell you that I believe you do, I'm curious to get your feedback down in the comments. So tell me what you think as to what the answer to that question is, and tell me why you answered as you did. I got to say a special thanks to my friends here at Land Rover of Shreveport for loaning us this model for the day, and all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, check out another of the videos that's on the screen right now, and I'll see you there.